Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to this week's episode of Critically Casual, where I'm your host who suddenly, for some reason, started dying, Srekcuf5, and over there's DorkyDev. Say hi, Dev. One more time for me, just because I really like that All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Critically Casual, where if you can't...
That set the tone for the week.
Absolutely it is. Possibly even the whole month, maybe. Who knows? Just kidding. But, ultimately, today, just because I wanted to make it simple, this week, title is We Saw It. Or is it We Saw It? Who knows? But either way, we watched Stephen King's It.
Am I cutting out for you?
Probably not.
What do you keep cutting out for me?
No. Are you surprised I have shitty equipment, remember?
Well, it's weird. It's like at the very tail end of everything, it just cuts out.
Yeah, I don't hear any cutouts at all.
Huh.
So I don't know, but either way, what we're doing here, Billy Boy, is we're reviewing 1990s version of Stephen King's It, the made-for-TV two-part release that was released in November 18th for part 1, and then November 20th of 1990, if I remember. I looked this up beforehand, but I didn't keep it on screen. Either way. Not much else to say. Let's just get into this movie and talk about it, Dev.
I don't mind the pre-facts part. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I tried something. I don't know, either case. I thought this was interesting, just how they released this film was, unlike every other movie which has a part 1 and a part 2 years apart from each other, it was just literally days apart in this made-for-TV series. A lot of Stephen King stuff was made for TV in the early days for some reason.
During that time, yes. You had the one with all like the trucks and stuff like that come to life. Tommy Knockers. There was a Shining series, I think, during this time too. There was another one. The Stand. And then there was one other one that I can't remember the name of. Was that one the Tommy Knockers I'm thinking of? I think that probably would have been the Tommy Knockers. Never mind. But still, he had a lot of directly to TV stuff.
He really did.
Or at least a lot of the people who had the rights to his stuff did directly to TV.
What a creepy looking dude.
Who?
Stephen King, sorry.
Oh.
Like, I just pulled up a picture of him on my own screen, and, just because I was curious and what other things are here. And, well...
Yeah, no, I made the joke to my head that him and George Lucas looked like they would have hanged out in high school.
Oh, definitely.
Not that we're being judgmental, but they look like during, like, when they would have gone to school, 60s, 70s, probably 60s, right?
Stephen King was born in 47, so yeah.
50s? When was Lucas?
George Lucas' birthday. Let's see.
Oh, not net worth. Fuck. Though he's worth $6.1 billion?
He was born in 44, so 3 years earlier.
Hey, they would have been. They could have been to high school together,
Yeah, one junior, one freshman. Sounds like a similar relationship that I know of.
We're a year apart, not 3 years
I
apart.
know.
But they could have gone to high school together. And they feel like they're two people that I jokingly in my head was like they totally would have hung out in high school.
Mm-hmm. Wow. We started off topic for today. What an interesting kind of day. So
it's gonna be one of those days.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's all because I sat through and I watched this 3 hour long version of this movie on Amazon Prime. Rented it,
Same.
of course. Yeah, it was nice. And I have to say, old school horror, that's for sure. 1990s horror. I did like some of it. Some of it was, as Dev told me a little bit before the show, a little campy.
Some of this movie is just campy.
One of my big complaints for this, only because, is honestly just how it was released and how we got to watch it, because we watched it in one long 3 hour long sitting essentially. But like, it felt weird. It felt like an hour into the movie we had just started the movie. And that's all because of how it was released. At least that's my assumption, I'm assuming. But like, I was sitting there,
Yeah.
like 2 hours in, 1 hour left to go. Man, are we just restarting the movie? Are we just now getting to know each other again? Which is true. It's kind of what's happening, because a lot of the kid stuff is flashback scenes. But
And then the early comeback to Derry stuff is a lot of kind of moments.
this is
That are refreshers for our characters.
yeah, this is definitely, like, I watched this movie and I was like, I'm reading a book. I'm definitely reading a book right now. So this feels like a true to form book adaptation of what he may have written for his It movie book. But like, I don't really
They
feel
did
like
skip a scene.
Yeah,
thankfully.
no, they totally didn't skip any scenes at all whatsoever.
They skipped one very important scene to skip.
So, like, I don't know. This movie was weird to me because I liked it. I did enjoy it. I liked watching it. It's just the format, the structure of this made-for-TV movie was clearly a made-for-TV movie, and it just had me feeling a little bit off the whole time.
That's fair. Because it shows that it's a made-for-TV film.
Like, go ahead.
No, it never quite lands the way it probably should.
I would disagree, but that's also you and me always going through our disagreements, as we always do.
Happens from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, I watched this movie, and there were times, like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't necessarily scared, but I was like, oh, that's pretty morbid. What the hell's going on in this? Like, I had moments like that, because a lot of Stephen King stuff is, like, out of, like, when he's doing the gory stuff, it's kind of out of nowhere gore, where it's just like, oh, that's, jeez. And some of those got me every once in a while. Like, I enjoyed the balloon popping stuff.
For me, the balloon popping got old after a certain point, because, like, it was one of those things that, like, just, it's a repeated thing throughout, that the balloons popping, something bad's happening. And it's just like, man, once you see it once, you see it every time. And you can't unsee it, and you're like, okay, well, I know exactly what's happening here. I don't know, like, for me, the problem is it definitely has aged a lot.
Oh, absolutely. This is definitely an older movie. I was watching this, and I was like, damn, I remember when parents in the 90s were dicks at every possible opportunities. I remember when, like, bullies were actual sociopaths, right? Yeah.
Well, it's not even just that. Part of it, too, is that, like, everyone in this film feels like
old.
Yes, but I'm also trying to put it in a way that doesn't quite just say old. It just doesn't age. I remember being a kid and watching this, and it was slightly scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, I don't know any kids who are into horror and watch horror who would be scared of this film today.
Okay.
Because, like, even the moments where it's supposed to be creepy aren't that creepy. And this is coming from a person who has only seen trailers for both parts of the new It, right?
You haven't seen It 1 yet?
No.
Oh.
I saved it for this.
Okay. I saw that movie in
Um,
theaters because I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna go see it." I love horror movies.
that's fair. I wanted to wait till the second part because that's how I originally watched it. Original version.
I
This
mean,
version.
most people did. It came out 2 days from each other, so.
Yeah, but whenever they would show it on like reruns, it was always one right after the other.
Mhm.
Um, during like Stephen King marathons or some shit like that. But from just comparing it to the trailers, that's all I have to compare it on.
Mhm.
I can't compare it to anything else.
That's totally
Holy
fine.
shit! There's a huge, drastic change to the material, and it looks better. It looks like it's actually like Pennywise doesn't look like a joke. And don't get me wrong, Tim Curry's in a league of his own, and it's not that I'm calling his acting the joke. It's really the way it tones him, because like he's like this. He's funny as fuck. Just alone. I'm gonna play one of our favorite lines from the film, if I'm allowed to.
Sure, go for it.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
One of the best moments of the fucking film. But it's also because Tim Curry is Tim Curry, and he's just
Being
this
Tim Curry.
nutcase. Yeah.
Yeah. See, go ahead.
Which
Zach.
doesn't come off necessarily as scary. It comes off as crazy.
Okay.
For me, at least.
My big thing is like I like this movie and I like Tim Curry a little bit, but ultimately I would say because I've seen the new one, one thing I definitely liked is they made Pennywise more approachable in the newer movies because like in this he's just kind of always a little bit creepy. And it mainly to me has a lot to do with his voice. It's always, "Hi, I'm Pennywise the clown. How's it going? Yeah." But like in the new Pennywise, the new modern one, he actually sounds like, "Hi friends, how are you today?" And then slowly he starts twisting into this like morbid, creepy thing, and that I enjoy more because there's like you could kind of see why the kids fall for whatever is happening, but ultimately when I think of this movie and like Tim Curry, I'm like, it's pretty good. It actually gave me an idea if I was actually, like a movie maker and like actually did things like I was supposed to. I had an idea for a horror film actually, and the whole thing was just like, what's the nicest, friendliest thing that I could think of and turn it into a horror. So I was like, that's kind of what this made me think of. It's like Stephen King thought, what's a nice little friendly thing that I can turn creepy and morbid. And don't get me wrong, clowns are creepy and morbid in most cases, but
he's the escalated the whole bar for creepy clown.
exactly. Stephen King did a lot of escalation for the horror genre in general.
Well, yeah, and I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, like, this movie, like, I think the problem is that the campiness, like, especially compared to now, like, just films nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
I both miss it, but also it overshadows parts of it. Because, like, I would say I'd rather have this kind of horror than some of the horror films we've watched as of late.
Yeah.
Because it's entertaining at least, in parts. And I think that's just because, like, one, I will say the child actors aren't terrible. They're a little over the top in some cases. And surprisingly, the one who doesn't feel the most like stoically childish is Seth Green's acting in this.
Really?
Yeah, because he feels the most real as like a kid growing up in the fucking 70s, I guess.
60s, thank you.
60s, sorry. He seems like the most likely to be like a real person, while the rest of the children are like stoic in some way. Like child Billy is like this stuttering stoic character in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And like Ben, like everyone just has like very campy kind of personalities. And even Seth Green's character, like the 12-year or 14-year-old, 12-year-old versions of them, he's still kind of campy, but it's Seth Green and his character's supposed to be a funny guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it works really well because it's Seth Green.
Are you sure you're not saying it just works well because it's Seth Green? And like, are you sure you're not just being biased?
Well,
I'm just asking.
That's why his role works.
Okay.
Because he goes on to be a very prominent comedic actor, and voice actor in a lot of things, and have long-running TV series after this, and be in a lot of movies after this. Well, if you kind of look at the rest of the entire cast, not as successful since this, besides probably Tim Curry, as a consistent acting thing. Like some of them have like a yearly gig, but most of them are not as noticeable or prominent in cinema and stuff like that today. And it's not to their discredit. I think they all do a good enough job, given that I think also, in my personal opinion, Stephen King also does write a little campy with how he writes. And if I remember correctly, I think he leans more to liking this movie than he does others that are adaptations of himself. But he also really hates The Shining, which is arguably one of the best films out there that Stanley Kubrick ever made. He also made really great films just in general. But I can't think of a person who doesn't doesn't see The Shining as like, this is a good film. I can't think of a person who doesn't think that. But I can think of people who see this and are like, man, Stephen King, eh?
Okay.
Because his stories are definitely hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just based off of his writing. I'm not discrediting him as a writer, because some of his stuff is good. Like Stand, Shawshank Redemption. That's his, right? That's the one where they get out of the prison, right?
I believe so. I don't entirely remember.
There's, I think that's Shawshank Redemption, right? Hold on.
I mean, you don't have to prove the point right now, but keep going. Yeah, keep going with what you were saying.
But there's a lot of, there's a lot of movies that are based off of his property that just that aren't good movies.
I mean,
or series.
I'll get you that, but is it not because it's a limitation of the time? Like, when you compare, what did you think of like the new Pet Cemetery, since we saw that on the show here?
They didn't really change much other than what happens to what child.
Yeah, but did you see the original Pet Cemetery? Like,
yeah, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So my memory of it's not as strong.
Mm-hmm.
But in my personal opinion, from what I can remember, it's not far off. I mean, there's certain things that they're able to do a little bit better, like just because makeup and stuff like that has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
But like the child in the original Pet Cemetery is fucking creepy as fuck.
Okay, yeah, I getcha. Mm-hmm.
I mean, looking back on it, it's still campy, but it's still creepy. Like,
yeah,
you see that kid look like, and I think a lot of that's just due to lighting.
Yeah, when I look at that old little kid back then, when I like the older version, I think, wow, they really put on the makeup just to make it look like this kid is dead and like all mistaken, and like it just looks morbid. Now in the newer movie, like it almost looks more realistic, but it's but that's also like part of the reason I like it, because it doesn't intentionally look as bad to set the point that I love you, daughter who looks like a mummy zombie thing. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Same with like the new Carrie compared to the old Carrie, and like.
Okay, the new Carrie is nowhere near as good as the original Carrie. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. I don't want to have this fight.
I mean, that's not what we're talking about, so I'm going to say that I like the new Carrie more, and then we'll go back to the Stephen King that we're supposed to be talking
I'm joking, by the way. But I do like the original Carrie better. That's not what I'm joking about. I'm more joking about the fight.
But like, the way it makes it seem like to me is just that you expect. I'm not done trying to call you out or say that like your opinions are wrong or anything, but like the way I see it is like you just expect this one kind of movie, which is, don't get me wrong, the same thing I do in a lot of the times, but it's just, I don't know, something something like the way you say it, something just kind of like makes me wish you'd explain a little bit more. Like,
I think my problem is that it just doesn't. I think my problem is just the way it ages. It just, because of the fact that like we have gone further than this, we've gotten better, and there's a better, not even arguably better version of it now. I feel like looking back at this, though it's a step in horror, I don't think, like, looking back on it now, it has the same impact it did back then, I guess. Like, there's nowhere in this film that I felt like fear. You know what I mean? I didn't feel any scares in this.
okay,
Like, I didn't even feel any, like, grossed out bits, any, like, gore. Mind you, I've seen this film too many fucking times. So my mom's a huge Stephen King fan, so like she watched any time any of his films were on DirecTV. It was like Stephen King's on, so I've seen this film enough fucking times. So none of them were gonna come up on me and surprise me. But at the same time, it was like, okay, bubble, blood, stuff like that. It's just, it's better now.
Okay, I get you. Like, when I watch this movie, even though like some of the stuff is kind of old and I've seen it a bunch of times, I still really like some of the stuff that we see, like the balloon popping in the library, the shower scene with Eddie at the gym, well, at school technically. God, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that the fortune cookie scene, like, all of that stuff, I still, even though it's kind of campy, I still genuinely really enjoy that stuff. Even though I don't really find it creepy anymore or scary, I'm just like, oh, that's cool. That's such a fun little idea. And like,
well, and I'll say I enjoy that. Like, all of that is practical too, especially in that scene. Like, and don't get me wrong, I fucking love practical. I talk about it almost every time we get the chance to talk about practical effects, because that shit's fucking top notch. And I will say, especially that scene, seeing the practical effects, awesome. There are some other scenes with practical effects that you're like, oof. Later in the film, that just really don't age. But I think that's also just, again, time happens, and we improve what we're able to do. We've improved practical effects. We've improved like editing and stuff like that, and technology for like graphical enhancements to the films. So I think that's part of it too, is that like my expectations from when I've watched this originally to now have definitely changed a lot. So I have a different bar for what I watch.
Okay.
And I've always held horror films to a different bar.
yes.
Because I grew up watching The Exorcist. I grew up watching Alien. Shit, Jurassic Park was scary.
Yeah.
As a kid.
There was a time when Jurassic Park was scary, yeah.
And no, almost all these do have practical effects for them. But you know, so like I've always graded horror probably a little bit harder than I should. I will admit that, but at the same time, this film is different enough that I will hold it on its own, because it's far better than some of the trash that's been put out and we've had to see. I say had to because we decided to choose it. But...
yeah, we chose that we had to see this movie.
And then as we went to see it, we're like, why did we choose this? This is one of those ones that, like, I don't have enough to say negative about it, but I don't have enough positive to say about it, I guess. I'm very, like, to it. Like,
man, this is a good week that we chose only one movie then. Like,
well, I have enough to say about it, but I don't have enough that like definitively puts me on one side or the other. It's very for me, as it's aged, has put me very down the middle.
Okay. So it just seems like tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm oversimplifying, but like it seems just to me you just enjoy watching a movie mainly the first time, unless it's a movie you really like. But then it's like afterwards, after like the surprises are said and done, it's just not as fun anymore. It's just not a good movie to watch.
Yeah, it's strangely potentially part of it because last week was Would You Rather, right?
Exactly, and you said the same thing where I was like, "This is really cool stuff," and you're like, "No, I've seen it 3-4 times. It's not cool." So,
well, I think that for me that might be part of it, just for horror, because I can watch other films a billion fucking times and still enjoy it.
mm-hmm.
But I think because horror for me, and I have a weird memory when it comes to films, that I kind of remember way too much about them.
Okay.
So like, when I've seen it once or twice,
You've seen it 100 times.
Yeah, I can remember it. I remember what's coming next, what's coming next, what's coming next, and nothing's gonna come to shock me. And with horror, that's harder to ingrain. How like it that definitely devalues the rewatch
Mm-hmm.
for them. So if it's not fresher or newer, it doesn't work as well for me, at least. And I guess it's just the way I watch films.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain ones that I'll watch all the time because, like, Cabin in the Woods, technically a horror film, but it's a dark comedy in my opinion as well.
Yeah, it's more of a satire than a horror, but
yeah, and I get a kick out of it because, like, the parts that are supposed to be the scares are now even funnier to me because I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's coming. The problem with some of these is like there are certain films where like the scares become campy for me, and this is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Still influenced me growing up that I always had an unease towards clowns, but
I mean, hey, there was a while after I watched this movie when I was a kid, I was afraid of using the restroom. Like, stuff happened in a lot of people's restrooms in this movie, so I was like, ah!
Yeah, I had nightmares of things coming out of, like, the sink. And, like...
For me, it was the shower drain.
On top of this, there was... I had nightmares for years just based off of a cover for a movie of, like, these two creatures that are, like, one's coming out the top part of the toilet and one's coming out of the bowl.
Mm.
Two, like, monsters. So, growing up, dude, I had an innate fear of entering bathrooms. I was like... I'm either gonna get eaten on the toilet or I'm gonna get eaten through the sink. Wow.
Bathrooms, man, they're scary. Especially when you're a young adolescent.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Stephen King's movies, are stories. It's like young adolescent stories and growing up.
In Maine.
Mm-hmm.
You can't forget it's always in Maine.
Yes. So.
But I think just for me, it's that, like, horror has a harder rewatchability for me.
Okay. I can appreciate.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah, like when I watch this, even though I've seen it a bunch of times, like I'm sitting there and I'm like, huh, I like how they did this match cut here between the face of him and then this plate, or I like how they did the J cut with this transition from here to there, even though I know it's coming, and it's like, this is really cool, and like, I love how they zoom and add the Dutch tilt, and but
for you, part of it is that you've also gotten more experience with like the ideas of behind the camera stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're able to appreciate it more.
Yeah.
And not that I haven't gotten more experience in that kind of stuff, just being around you and having this podcast. But for me, that still gets outweighed with, like, I love Tim Curry. I love some of the stuff. This is going to be a year where we're going to have another Tim Curry film as well. Do we have 3 Tim Curry films this year? Was Rocky Horror Picture Show this year? That was February, wasn't it?
February this year? I'd have to double check, but things in the way. I don't remember, in all honesty. All I know is just I wasn't here for it.
No, you were here for Rocky.
Was I? Oh, was that Rocky and Opera?
Repo?
Repo.
Yeah.
No, that February.
January or February?
Let's see.
This might be a year where we get 3 of them, because we also there's another Tim Curry film that we're discussing as a film for early December, I think. So, I love Tim Curry.
I think it might have been last year because February we had another Soy's Choice, but that was Bandersnatch.
Oh, right. Okay, so that would have been last year. But, like, I love Tim Curry, and he's in a league of his own of just insanity. But that doesn't quite save the grace for this film. And also, part of my problem, too, is his costume is a little... in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't quite work for me as I've gotten older.
I can see that, yeah.
I think that's just part of it. I think it's just that I've gotten older and my viewpoints on movies has changed, but also horror for me is just harder to be less strict on. So I think that's just it. That's just it for me, you know?
So if
I was giving myself popcorn kernels, if we're at that point, if you're allowing that point.
I can say so. We've been talking about this movie for a little while, and we haven't gotten into spoilers, so sure, you can have some popcorn kernels.
I'll give myself some popcorn kernels. Out of 10, I'd still probably give it 6.5.
Okay. So, pretty okay, you would say.
Above passing. Not something nowadays to write home about, but, you know, it's above a pass.
Okay. So I'm just kind of randomly clicking through things, through random different IMDb stuff. And
There.
yeah. I'm just... interesting stuff. Like, I'm looking through and looking at some of the different It things, like all the different child actors and what they're doing now and stuff like that. Apparently, the little boy, the boy who played Stan, the guy who played Stan as a child, is
Ben Heller?
Yes, Ben Heller. Yeah, was in a short recently about Georgie, and that was like the only other product he's done since he was a young boy. And I was looking at Brandon Crane, the guy who plays Ben Halscomb. He's going to be in the new It movie. Probably just a little side bit, but he's going to be a fun little Easter egg in there for anyone who can spot him. But okay, for me, I'll give with my popcorn kernels, just so we can go on to spoilers and I'll stop being distracted. For me, with this movie, there's still a lot that I enjoy. Some of it's dumb, a lot of it's kind of weird, especially the whole, like, 6 guys, 1 girl, and we all love you. Like,
it's way weirder in the book.
Trust me, I know.
I know you know. I'm letting also our audience know.
It gets way weirder in the book.
It gets way weirder in the book.
Man, everyone... No, I'm not going to say it. I can't say it. I literally can't, because I will lose my job if I say something related to that as a joke. So, let's move on and go into some spoilers. So, basically what I want to do real fast is I quickly want to summarize how this movie went. Just from A to B, real fast, okay? Don't mind me. So if you haven't seen this nearly 30-year-old movie, it'll be 29-year-old in a few months here. We should have waited literally 2 more months to watch this if we could have. Why couldn't they release the new It in like 2 months? That would have been so fucking cool. Maybe a year and 2 months,
a lot of people were saying that they should have... what they could have done is do that, because they could have literally done it every 30 years then, is redo it, because, like, the kids from just rechange the timeline every 30 years, be like, yeah, it happened this long ago, kind of thing, and now it's the modern age one.
Mm-hmm. It'd be very cool.
They got as close as they were going to get.
Yeah. But, so basically, this original It story, what happens is, movie starts with a belch, and then we get to see this little girl get murdered, essentially. Just, we don't see it. A lot of the murders don't happen on screen, but, like, we get to see this girl die. I'm looking up names so I don't say them wrong. Mike Hanlon ends up calling all the Lucky Seven of the Losers Club back into Derry so they can figure out how to stop it like they did in their childhood. However, it doesn't quite go exactly the way they want it, as things kind of go wrong here and there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they supposedly kill it and end it all and save Derry and the world.
They hope that they did.
Yes, because, you know, he may have a physical form, but he's something that they can't even comprehend.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So,
it's and then we start getting to the part where it gets a little, I don't want to say confusing, but man, is it very much stop and go from this point forward.
no, I basically just summarized the whole thing there, but you're thinking I just did the whole half. No, like, this whole movie.
Oh, well, fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I summarized the whole
Oh my
movie
God.
in that one sentence. Like, they thought they did it, and then they didn't, and then he calls them back, and then they thought they did it, and we don't know if they did it.
I think they did it.
Yeah.
It seems they did it. Because there's the whole thing with the memories and stuff like that, which I'm hoping, I'll be honest, I don't mind if they forget when they're, like, from a child to adult. But I really hope the ending gets changed so that they remember what happens. Because, like, I feel like that's kind of a really lame end.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of silly, too, because this movie does say, like, yeah, we all started just kind of losing our memories again, how we did back when we first left Derry, but, you know.
Besides me, and then I'm slowly losing them, too, but, like...
We even joke at each other that we can't even remember each other's names anymore, but sometimes we kind of can't.
I think is bullshit because, one, they grew up in that town, and yeah, they don't want to remember some of the stuff that happened there. It's just, it makes it all feel for naught, which I'm okay with a film feeling like it's all for naught, but not like this.
Yeah, and especially because one of my biggest complaints about this film is just, like I said, how it constantly just drags back to where it, like, feels like we're just starting the movie again, even though we're not. And a big problem that I have with that is just, like, we get to see them as kids, and then we get to see them have a kid moment, but then as adults, we still have them watch them doing, like, these, yeah, we're kids having kid fun bromance moments, and it's like, that's not what the point of this half of the movie is supposed to be. This is supposed to be, like, the dramatic,
and
traumatic moments.
it feels like that episode of How I Met Your Mother, where they talk about how, like, when you hang out with certain people, your brain just goes back into that mode.
Like, why the hell did they end up deciding as adults that they were going to buddy ride on a fucking bike after it was fixed? Like,
God, that was a weird scene.
yeah, and they were just good old friends. And, you know, I'm sure in the books it made more sense because they were blood brothers. However, different kind of blood. However, like, still, God, this movie, just, like, there are weird moments in it. Like, walk into the Chinese restaurant. Oh, hey, all you sexy men. Passes out and then kisses 3 of them. And, like, the fuck, man?
Yeah, they made the character Beverly, like, I haven't read the book, so I can't compare it to the book itself, but man, is she just like...
She just goes around.
Yeah. Which, again, it's way weirder in the books.
I mean, at least they said, like, they told us what happened in the books definitely didn't happen in this movie. Because at least Eddie's a virgin in this movie, so.
Yes. Still.
We're
Like,
dancing around the subject. Should we at least tell the audience what we're dancing around?
oh, yeah, we're in the spoiler section. They cut out the entire scene where the kids, after they kill it...
I think it was before. Right before they kill it as children, they decide that they need to really establish that they're friends. That nothing can break their bond as friends. So they all have sex with Bev.
God damn. Stephen King.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, it's just...
I know you write some weird shit, but, like, that would make George R.R. Martin go, what?
I mean, I talked about two people. Like, I'm just imagining George R. R. Martin here. He's like, huh, there's literally this guy who shoves a child out the window to murder him after having sex with his sister. But that's kind of weird.
I have a lot of scenes about incest, but dude, child orgies? The fuck, King?
See, now...
Yeah, the fuck.
Now what I need to do is I just need to go back and read some Lovecraft and find out if Lovecraft has any weird, like, child things, because Lovecraft is, like, Stephen King's role model. So...
It was one of the facts on the Amazon thing, too. Like, when you, like, before you hit play and you scroll down, look through the facts, like, oh yeah, they cut this entire scene. But they still told the actress who plays Beverly about it, and she got embarrassed. I'm like, why tell her about it? She didn't know it existed.
Yeah, don't tell the little girl that. That's ridiculous.
No, stop, no. But like, it's like, the character Beverly feels like this fantasy character. You know what I mean?
Like, I would agree with you. Beverly definitely feels the most like a caricature to me out of all of them.
Yes.
But they are essentially all just like, in this movie at least, none of them really have character. They're all characters. The complaint you had last week, I feel, is more relevant this week. Because...
I can agree.
Yeah, there's definitely 7 kids and a 3-hour-long movie where they try to establish all of their, like, backstory and things. But it ultimately, none of it matters. Like, we have Bev, who's just this girl who kind of seems like she wants to get with people. We have the fat kid. We've got the black kid. We've got, like... It's literally just these stereotypes thrown together thanks to Stephen King. And... yeah, you know.
Which probably get fleshed out better in the book compared to this.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, get
the
better
new movie
fleshed
does it
out
better.
within the new movies.
The new movie definitely does it better.
But this just doesn't have enough time. And they just exposition explain it.
Yeah, I feel like if they didn't... I feel like they did what they did with the new movie. Like, they didn't spend so much time with the adults and then using the adults to tell the kid story. Like, I feel if they got rid of that whole portion there and just stuck with starting the movie as a child, have them go through, have them defeat it, and then, like, wake up. One of them just wakes up from a dream and is like, oh, okay. And then it starts going through, like, Mike, he'll wake up from a dream, and then he'll wake up, and then he'll start then he can start calling the friends and all that stuff. Like, I feel that would have been better, but, like, it's just, that's just a bad suggestion. The problem with that is that
they have to establish all of these actors as well, because this is a 2-part TV movie that was coming out within days of each other.
Yeah.
And so you want to establish and make sure that you have these characters connected in some way.
Okay.
Which is to this film's detriment. Is the problem.
It's plus the whole, like I said, 2 hours in, you feel like you're just restarting the movie, which you technically are essentially because it's part 2. But like,
well, yeah, it's like an hour and a half in, you get to the part 2 part, and then even in part 2, it feels like you don't get to the movie until like another 30 minutes in.
Yeah, especially like a lot of the very beginning was very subtle. Yeah, we're friends, we're catching back up, we're getting back together, we're doing all our things, and then
we have flashbacks to things we just saw if you watched it all together.
Exactly. And then you get like one scare every once in a while. It doesn't really start amping up until they head into the sewers, really. And even then, that's not that bad.
And it ends within like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Like, when the new movie, the second half, the later part, the things that are memorable to me, like, I'll be completely honest, I actually forgot the whole spider thing. Like, I forgot that's how they made it look in this. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Because it was just something that wasn't important, ultimately. It's just...
Yeah.
And so, like, the second half, the library was really memorable for me. Let's see.
Well, yeah, actually, the library scene's kind of cool when they do the head scene,
Mm-hmm.
where like there's a there's a talking head in it.
That
I like that scene because it works for this film.
Mm-hmm. And like all the balloons come pouring out. Like that was cool. Like I honestly love how they use the use of colorful objects as something scary and foreboding. That's not something that people do. And that's probably why like I ultimately, now that I think about it, did I even give this a rating? Did we just switch over with me without me ever saying exactly what rating I was going to give it? Because I'm pretty sure I didn't say that I was going to give this movie 7.5 popcorns.
So putting it a 7. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you totally skipped that.
Even though I said I was going to, and then just completely jumped right over it. All right, starting over.
See, that's why I didn't hit it yet, because you hadn't rated it yet. There we go. Totally an excuse for me not hitting that button on time.
Exactly.
Anyways.
See, also, that right there, that laugh, one of our favorite moments from this movie. But, like, I'm gonna guarantee it, I'm gonna love the second It version more. Because Tim Curry's aha is cool and it's creepy, but, like, the new It has some genuinely creepy things about him, too. And it's just, like, he seems playful, but then he gets creepy. And that's stuff that I find genuinely terrifying. So.
Well, and no offense to Tim Curry, it's over the fucking top. Which isn't a bad thing, but it's very just out there. So, I think that's part of it.
So, one thing, I don't really have much else that I want to talk about, so I guess this is ultimately going to be a short episode of Strictly Casual.
I figured it was. I forgot how short this was, honestly. Or it was. I don't have my buttocks on this set.
Yeah, your space bar doesn't quite work as a
That was the keyboard.
Okay.
No, I don't have the buttocks on here. It's the other set's
Fuck
just
you.
that one. I could do, but fuck you.
But fuck you.
No, the problem with this one is just it's too short. I think it's part of its problem.
Like, I would say it's too short because it's a 3-hour long movie. I would just say that based on what's in there, it's not, like, there's not enough depth. It's not complex enough. It's not like there's not enough detail in the characters. There's not quite enough detail in, like, the presentation of the scary stuff. It's just kind of, it just shows up and it does its thing, and that's kind of it.
I did the math on this. Hold on, give me just a second.
Okay.
So I did the math on how long the new ones are together. That's 1.
How about guess 3 hours and 45 minutes. So about 40 minutes longer.
For the new It's?
Yeah, put together. Oh wait, because the new It movie 1 is over 2 hours long.
Yes.
And the second movie is it
It's
also
almost 3.
Okay, so about 4.5 hours then.
Roughly. It's give me a second. 2 hours is 120 plus 49 is 169. It's 304 minutes altogether.
304, which
divide
is
that by-
5 hours and 4 minutes.
Oops, sorry. Divide by 60. It's 5.06 hours. So just above 5 hours. While this one only has just over 3 hours, there's 2 extra hours that the new ones will have on this, which I think shows in this one more because you're not able to expand the characters as much.
Like, there are a couple of things in here that I thought were silly. Like, when they mentioned deadlights, I was like, that was kind of thrown in there, that's for sure. A lot of the, like, adult Henry stuff. Was his name Henry? The bully?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the adult Henry stuff was really just thrown in there. It wasn't, like, the new movies. Just so you know, Dev. Kid Henry is probably the creepiest part in the newer movies, just because of his attitude and his mindset. However, the new It is also pretty creepy, especially because he does a lot of practical stuff with his eyes, and that's fun. So.
No, and I've heard great things about
I can't remember his name.
Skarsgård.
Something Skarsgård. There's like 4 of them, man.
Bill. Yeah, Bill Skarsgård. Sorry, it's like when I say Skarsgård, it's between him and his dad.
Like, you say Skarsgård, and I'm like, let's see. There's him, there's his dad, and then there's like his 2 brothers.
Are they both actors too?
Skarsgård. The Skarsgård family. There's, let's see. Stellan John Skarsgård is the father. Then he has Alex, Bill, Gustav, and Walter, and Sam. And, let's see. How many of them are all actors? Let's see. So Alex Skarsgård, John Skarsgård, Gustav, Bill. Yes, it looks like all the sons are all actors.
Oh, dude, Alex Skarsgård's gonna be in Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Let's see. Walter Skarsgård, the youngest son, is 17, and he's going to be in. He's a budding actor. He's in his first ever acting role right now.
Oh my god!
What?
No, that's who Alex Skarsgård is. Is he in? Hold on.
Oh wait, one of the daughters is also an actress.
Alex Skarsgård was in Legend of Tarzan as Clayton.
Really?
John Clayton / Tarzan. He was Tarzan. Ah. Alrighty then. He was in True Blood, but none of us watched that.
My parents
Not
did.
a popular show or anything.
You know, I'll be completely honest with you. I did want to watch True Blood when I was younger, but that was also when I was in the middle of my vampire stuff, you know? So, like...
I knew exactly where that story was going.
Yeah, so there's that. All right, we're kind of just stringing along things here to get us...
Sorry, we just got... Sorry, you talked about the Skarsgård, which is just like... It's just a list of people that... you type in Skarsgård, you're like, shit.
There's quite a few here. All right, is there anything else It-related that we want to talk about?
I'm looking forward to next week to see the improvements that someone else has made to this film.
I would say they're good. I really... Watching the first movie, I enjoyed. I'm trying to say something else than I enjoyed it, but like... You know, whatever. Kind of just have to at this point.
I enjoyed the film.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the film. It was a good time. I would definitely say it probably won't get your go. Like, it won't be scary, but I think it's definitely an improvement. You'll definitely enjoy it more. Even though, I'll be completely honest with you, the original, like, story of the children that is told isn't much different. So...
I don't expect it to be much different because of the source material. I expect it to be improved and told better.
Which it definitely is, in my opinion.
So, I am looking forward to it.
All right. So, with that said and done, let's head on into the news and our wrap up and stuff. Got any news this week, Dev?
I didn't talk about it last week, but we're getting an Obi-Wan series.
Oh yeah, on sorry, words hard. On Disney Plus.
I can't wait.
I also should
What everyone wanted.
I'm gonna explain too real fast to those, like, since we're talking about Star Wars, And I know you probably understand, but I'm going to explain it anyways. The reason why I really didn't want to talk about your theories with Star Wars is only because theories have to be based off some ground of truth. And where do you get those truth? From the trailers and the spoilers in some way that I don't want to know. It's just, and that's why I just kind of shut you down completely. I was like, no, we're not talking about this because I don't want to know anything about Star Wars.
See, but I'm over here with the encyclopedias and comparing notes and seeing what I see there, and I'm like, I personally love watching a trailer, especially for a franchise that has hidden so much from fans in their trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the last 2 Star Wars films of the trilogy, you couldn't tell what the fuck was going to happen. You just had scenes where you're like, okay, that's there. You just had ideas of like, I wonder how this all ties together. That's all you got.
Has anyone, just random question, has anyone put the trailers side by side with the last trailers yet? Like, did they do what they did with movie 1 and 2, where it's literally beat for beat the exact same structure on what was going on in the trailer? Like, did you ever see that? They put a side by side comparison of Star Wars 9 and Star Wars 10's trailers, and it was literally at the exact same point, at the exact same time, there are these things. It was like a breath here, there was Luke talking over in voiceover only here, there was somebody
Luke
flying.
talking wasn't in the first one.
Well, still, there was like, you get the idea. I'm not being specific, I'm being general. And it was just like literally beat for beat, it was almost exactly the same format. So I'm assuming
they probably used the same trailer house.
Yeah.
This one, like the newest trailer, doesn't even start with new footage. It goes through all of Star Wars.
all
like
okay.
all of Star Wars. It doesn't show any Clone Wars and stuff like that, which
Of course not. It's Clone Wars. No one watches cartoons.
I know, but it's so fucking good. It has some of my favorite Star Wars moments in general are in Clone Wars. Honestly, there's some of the best overall moments of Star Wars are in Clone Wars. And if you haven't watched Clone Wars, get the list, watch the episodes in order, and enjoy.
I would be interested, just random side topic. I'd be interested in seeing them do the Force Planet and the Anakin story in real life, like live action.
That'd be cool. I don't know if Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are young enough to do that now.
Probably not.
But
I think that'd be an only because it's such an interesting place that they're brought into. Like, I really like that, not because it's really a good story, but it's kind of like an interesting twist on the whole.
It's still a good story. It's one of the best arcs in the series.
Yeah. It's like the whole prophecy thing I really enjoyed there.
I would say the best arcs of the entire series show itself are some of the clone arcs, like revolving around clone troopers, which you would think would be boring as shit. They're actually some of the best fucking episodes that are clone centric. And they honestly, like, watching Clone Wars makes you appreciate Star Wars Episode 3 even more, personally.
Mm-hmm.
And then Maul episodes. That's because, goddamn, it's fucking Maul. But I think the big thing for me is that if they do, when we get the Obi-Wan series,
Yes.
right, I'm wondering if they're going to put us up to the point Ezra walks up to the camp.
So you think that it's going to be like, it's going to end with Obi-Wan just about to meditate, and then you see a shadow walking in, and he looks up, and that's the cutscene, and that's the end of it, essentially?
And then go watch Star Wars Rebels?
Yeah. Obi-Wan will return in Star Wars Rebels.
No, literally he's in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah. It would just be like...
Just have that scene play there. Or recreate it, I guess. So
Yeah,
we can see live action Ewan McGregor kill Ray Park, Darth Maul, voiced by Sam Ryder.
I could see them doing that in like a post-credit scene, like where they show IRL Ezra, like real-life version of Ezra seeing Obi-Wan.
That'd be a cool scene, actually. I'm down for this. But that's where you have to end Obi-Wan's story. in my opinion. You can't go further than that point. Because there is nothing else substantial that's going to happen to Obi-Wan in that, like, I think it's like a 2-year period left before the Clone Wars, or the before the events of Rogue One slash A New Hope. So you don't have a whole lot of time in between there, and there's not a whole lot that Obi-Wan's going to get up to in between those 2 years. Besides occasionally go look at Luke and make sure he's still alive. And that's honestly about it. Okay. So that would be the perfect endpoint, or somewhere else before that. Because I feel like seeing him sit down at that camp and hearing the voice actor for Ezra at least being like, Master Kenobi, is a great way to end that show, right? Because the people who know what happens next. Maybe play out that scene in live action. It'd be cool either way, but I still feel like that's a solid endpoint.
Absolutely. I could see that be. I don't see why they would go on, honestly. Like, they already... Star Wars has established that they're often not gonna, like, rewrite canon, honestly. Like, I mean, they did
the
for the new
canon
canon.
has created is the canon.
Yeah, like... So they're not going to just go back and retcon already, be like, all right, we're going to completely ignore what happened in Rebels and tell a completely different Obi-Wan story, live action now, because Ian McGregor... Like, no, they've already told his story, so they don't need to keep telling his story again. That would just be pointless. So, I agree.
Or even if they did, at that point, if you did a season 2, you can do stuff on Tatooine involving bounty hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go into that scene, re-show that scene, do the exact thing that happened in the animation. Because it's... Fun fact, Obi-Wan as he gets older has to learn to change his fighting style.
Oh, yeah.
He can't do the master of defense.
I was about to say, he was the fence artist. And...
Oh, he's the master of defense. It's the whole reason why he wins the fight against Anakin is because he knows Anakin's better at attack than he is. And he knows if he goes into an attack formation, Anakin's going to win that fight. Mm-hmm. So all Obi-Wan's doing during that entire fight is just holding Anakin off, wearing him down, and then taking a strike when Anakin is at his weakest point in like a fury of blows and stuff like that. Because Obi-Wan is a master at defense and can read a situation perfectly. To the point that like he's gotten credit from Mace Windu and Yoda as being like, yeah, you can't beat him if he's in defense. Fighting style, you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I feel like one of those best moments would be seeing Ewan McGregor do that pose that he just owned, and then falling into that Alec Guinness Obi-Wan pose, because that's what he changes to, because it's a more frontal defense.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So
hard to do this when you have a giant death beam that you can barely hold over your head anymore. Like,
yeah, you aged a bit, and you know, he has to attack more as he's older, because the longer a fight's gonna go,
the less he'll be able to last.
Yes.
Yeah.
So literally, that fight with Maul literally has Maul charge at him. Obi-Wan just blocks it and stabs, and ends it.
Really that fast? That's
dude, he ends the fight like that. But that's also because Obi-Wan understands what he has to do to beat Maul.
Mm-hmm. He's done it before, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they fought, he didn't win. But he's probably played out how to beat Maul ever since, because he's probably been like, there's a chance Maul is still alive. I've been playing this through my head.
I was about to say, that's, in all honesty...
20 fucking years.
I was about to say, you really think about it, Darth Maul is maybe one of two, maybe three of the greatest defeats in Obi-Wan's life, because there was Darth Maul, where he loses Qui-Gon. There was Anakin becoming Darth Vader on Mustafar, and then there was where he loses the love of his life with Qui-Gon during that one mission, on that one planet that I can't remember.
No, he didn't lose Duchess Satine then.
He had to leave her, essentially, because it was either leave her or leave the Jedi.
Yeah,
So.
and he chose the Jedi.
Exactly.
Which, again, was part of the... That's a whole other debate about the Jedi that I can get on, but we won't go there till later. No. He... Like, there was the loss of Qui-Gon, and then there was losing to Maul again and again. Because Maul in the Clone Wars has been playing out beating Obi-Wan for 20 years.
Okay.
And because that's what he's doing. Like, in his insanity when he has the spider body, that's what he's thinking about. He's thinking about revenge against Sidious. He's thinking about revenge against Obi-Wan. So he's been playing that out in his brain fucking forever. And kind of the opposite happens. Like, yeah, Maul wants revenge against Sidious and Obi-Wan, but he's more focused, like, during the era of Rebels at Sidious, because Sidious has killed Mother Talzin, has destroyed his Red Fleet, has just decimated everything Maul had. And the only thing Maul has now is potentially just go kill Obi-Wan, because he can't beat Sidious right now. I don't have anything else. I'm going to go kill Obi-Wan. That's literally what he does. He's like, I figured out where Obi-Wan is, planet with 2 suns. Fuck it, I'll go there. I'll go kill Obi-Wan. Because that's he knows where that is. Hey, we're done with it. We're on the news segment. All right.
Yeah. We got through all of our stuff that was important there, Dragon. Maybe if you showed up on time.
But in all honesty, that's the perfect way to end it. And they did a great job of that in Rebels. But to see Ewan McGregor be the one to strike down Ray Park's Maul still has to be voiced by Sam Wright. I'm gonna say that because he did that in
what good, never mind. I'm gonna defeat my own question. But what good Star Wars villain was voiced by the same actor that portrayed his character?
Well, I'm saying this because like they did that in Solo. Like Sam Wright came back to voice Maul.
But I'm also saying like Darth Vader wasn't played by James Earl Jones, even though he was voiced by James Earl Jones.
Christopher Lee as Count Dooku's not bad.
True. And I actually really enjoy Adam Driver. And I do like Kylo Ren, believe it or not. He is one of my favorite Siths, quote-unquote, that I know of all time.
Dark sides?
Yeah, dark sides of all time. Like, I like him a lot.
Well, and there's arguably one of the best villains of all time in Star Wars is Ian McDiarmid's Palpatine.
That's true. Palpatine, the man who was painted in makeup when he was young and then just kind of looked that way when he was old.
They just added a little bit extra, like, wrinkle.
Yeah, just a wrinkle or two. So,
woo, 4 months.
Woo!
Anniversary. So like, you know, the fact that we're also gonna see Ian McDiarmid probably come back in this because the poster is a blatant piece of shit 80s poster. Did you see the poster?
I have not actually for the Obi-Wan.
No, not Obi-Wan. First 9.
Oh no, I have not.
It's because it's something. I don't think it has any spoilers in it that you may not already know about. I'm not 100% sure. I've
been seeing a little bit more and more, but let's try not to lead into it too much.
That's fair.
Like everything I know so far is about Rey.
About what?
Everything that I kind of know so far is about Rey. And I only know things about her.
I was gonna say, do you? I won't say that. I'll
leave it be, please.
I'm looking forward to an Obi-Wan series because Obi-Wan is fucking awesome.
So
give me an Obi-Wan series. They're doing it. So
Obi-Wan, Mandalorians, all the fun stuff.
Please.
Okay, so
Mandalorian looks like it should be good.
I have one bit of news here that if this wasn't critically casual, I'd put it on the Wacky News Story. But I'm going to put it here on critically casual because it's kind of related.
Wacky News Story.
Yeah.
I'll do the one.
I like the one. The one works. I can't see if I transitioned right. Am I on News with the View? Can you see News with the View right now? Where the news article's in the middle? Yeah. Nashville Catholic Private School bans Harry Potter books over its curses and spells. So, basically, I read through this a little bit earlier. The school's pastor, Reverend Dan Rehill, apparently went and talked to the Vatican exorcists and asked them about Harry Potter books, and they just essentially said, do what you want with them. So he said that they actually hold real curses and real spells that can summon demons, and he's banned them from his school.
Huh. Well, I know what I'm doing after the podcast today. Hey, Wilton, let's go perform some spells.
Ready? Wingardium Leviosa, demons!
Oh, shit. Oh, no. Demons. People are dumb.
So, I just wanted to bring that up only because literally Harry Potter is one of my favorite stories, especially because how the students age throughout their years, it changes the mood of the books. Like book 1.
Oh, no, yeah, no, that's one of the best things about
Yeah,
there.
it's very light, it's very happy, it's like, this is freaking magic, baby. Book 7, it's dark, it's depressing, people are fucking dying, and I love it. It's great. Like, that's such a huge transition. Don't get me wrong, it's literally a book. If you were to put everything together, I'm sure it'd be thicker than the Bible. But, like, God, I love that kind of stuff. So it makes me sad that a generation of kids, even though it's one school as of right now, just won't be able to get to know something that's one of my favorites of all times. Like, I don't know if you ever met him, but there's this one kid back in Arizona in Kingman. His name was Darren. And he was Mormon. He was one of the Mormon kids I'd hung out with a while. And his parents wouldn't let him watch Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or any Harry Potter stuff because they thought it taught witchcraft and things. And I was like, this is... You people. Okay.
You! I get it.
See,
I get why that would make you upset.
I mean, if... Not that... Not to call out a lot of people, but sometimes, like, this Reverend dude, Reverend Dan Rehill, he makes me think that because what he believes in his book is super real, so what is in every book has to be super real, is what it makes it feels like to me. So, you know.
Yeah, I get that.
So
that's a fair way of putting that.
So I guess that's just where I'm going to keep it for now. I'm not going to get this any more religiously, politically charged or anything. So, do you have any other things, any segments, anything at all you want to talk about?
I got nothing else.
Okay.
I don't have much news on me this week, so...
Okay. In that case, let's talk about next week. So, if this week...
Next week.
...was it, next week is also it. It 1 and 2. Actual 1 and 2. Unlike this week where 1 and 2 were kind of just one big thing put together. But this is actually 1 and 2. So.
An actual 2-part film.
Yeah, so what I think, we'll kind of do what we did this week, I think, with both of the movies. We'll kind of just discuss them as we go through. And then we'll kind of just spoil both, essentially.
That's kind of the only way I can see that happening.
Yeah. So, I've got nothing else. Dev's got nothing else. Eventually, at some point, we'll put this new really bad-looking poster down underneath where the old bad-looking poster is, as Dragon has commented. So, yeah, I got nothing else. So, give us a follow, a like, a comment, a subscribe, all that stuff about liking us and things, and yeah, follow our Discord.
Join the Discord.
Sorry.
Follow us on Twitter and subscribe on YouTube.
All of those, yes. There's a lot to keep up with as a social media influencer, So,
Stop.
So yes, Mondays, Critically Casual here at probably, essentially, let's just say 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for now. Maybe
I totally
earlier.
just went and fixed that on thing already.
Yeah. So, maybe earlier. We'll see. Tuesdays, third player optional with Caver J and whoever he brings in. Wednesdays is hardcore game night where we battle to the deaths or race to the ends of the earth for the Battle of Hardcore Championship title. That one. And Thursdays, the Heart podcast with Dev, who tells his funny stuff all the time. So, Yeah. So I got nothing else. I guess we're done here, right? Yeah. All right.
That's it.
So yeah, join us next week where once again we'll float down in the sewers with its. Yeah. Can you do the whole thing for me one more time, just because?
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
My family's gonna hate those there. Night, everyone.